Ashley and welcome to my podcast or vlog all about knitting. I'm gonna be honest, I need to be, okay, this thing is super fuzzy. My name is Ashley and I am a knitter and sometimes pattern designer located on Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Canada. So if you're a knitter or just like fiber arts, you can grab your craft and maybe a cup of something cozy and sit back and hear what I've been up to lately. Alright, so in today's episode, I'm going to show you some FOs and some works in progress and no acquisitions this time. But I am going to show you a new craft that I'm dipping my toes into. So I'm very excited about that. So I've got my little pile of goodies over here and yeah, let's get started. Finished objects. I have a few. I have been working on a pattern design using Zeezee Textiles beautifully gifted yarn for this in these gorgeous colors. I'm using artificial light right now because it's winter time, but I feel like this is showing pretty good on the camera what these colors look like. So I'm making a little winter accessories pattern kit with a headband and some fingerless mitts. So as you can see, the samples are done and I'm just putting the finishing touches on the pattern, and then I'll be sending out a test knit call for these. But I'm thinking of calling the pattern Scratch That, Reverse It, because when you're knitting the 2x1 ribs, you actually reverse your pattern so that when it's folded over, it matches. So you do that on two parts of the mitts, the bottom cuff and the top cuff. And then the headband, it's not quite a reversed pattern, but the ribs are staggered. So it kind of gives it a point of interest there. And the headband is double layered. So it gives you a little bit of extra warmth. I'll show you, I'll model these for you if you want to take a look. Let's see. Here they are. I really like them. It's been really hard not to wear these now that they're done, but I want to keep them looking good for photos for the pattern. But yeah, this is using Zeezee Textiles worsted weight yarn in the color Nordlys. It's really pretty. And then I'll show you the other colorway. And then this is Butterfly Bush and Puffer Coat. And I love both of these colors. I love them so much. Butterfly Bush, I want a sweater in this. It's so gorgeous. And Puffer Coat is just that perfect, like orangey red, kind of leaning like corally, but it's not pink at all. It's definitely more in the like orangey red family. But yeah, I think that they're so fun. And if you can if you notice on this sample, you don't have the folded cuff at the bottom there, you just have the contrast color as the folded cuff at the top. And the thumb gusset is it just has increases at your palm, not on the back of the hand. And I designed it with a folded over cuff there just so that you could have a little bit of extra warmth there. And when I'm cold, I do flip them up there so that I can kind of curl my fingers in a little bit and give them some more warmth. But yeah, this pattern is nearly finished, and I'll be putting out a tester call soon. So when I was playing around with this pattern, this is using worsted weight yarn, I had a little bit of extra yarn from Nutiden, or the yarn is Nutiden, it's from Honer Och Eir, and I was wondering if that would work for this pattern. Let me just fix my hair here. There we go, good enough. So yeah, I made another sample of these mitts using Nutiden held with a strand of mohair. So it was actually just like a little kind of cake, I guess, or I don't know what, or plate, that's what they call them, a plate of that unspun yarn. When I ordered some yarn from them last year, they threw this in as like a little extra, and it was just kind of like, I don't know if it was testing colorway that they were trying out or they weren't happy with, but I just got this little plate, and I wasn't sure what I would do with something so small. But I had also a tiny little bit of leftover mohair from Zeezee Textiles again. So I used her mohair held with a strand of undyed yarn in my Doppio sweater that I talked about a couple episodes back, but I had just a little bit left over, so I thought that I could hold it with this. And I made a nice little pair of fingerless mitts, and these I've been wearing a lot because they're not actually pattern samples, but I just wanted to test it out. I love these so much. They're so incredibly warm. I love Nutiden yarn. If you can see on this pair, I ran out of the mohair right at the very end. So knitting up to the top, I ran out right there, and then the thumb was on hold, so I also ran out there. So I had another strand of mohair in kind of like this, I don't know, caramely colored brown. It's definitely lighter than the other strand, but I feel like it kind of blends. It blends in when I'm wearing it. It doesn't really show up too much. And yeah, these have been on my hands every single day for the last month or so. I've really been enjoying wearing them. So I can say that the pattern has been tested, or like given a trial run by myself, and yeah, I really like the fit and the functionality of these. So yeah, keep your eye out for that coming soon. My next finished object is a test knit that I was working on for Tori, who is Tori Knits NYC. So it's the Urban Beanie. There it is here. It's got really unique crown shaping. That's what kind of caught my eye. Oops, here, I'll hold it up for you here. That's what caught my eye when she posted the test knit call for this. So yeah, the crown shaping is just along this knit ridge here and on the other side, and it kind of just angles up to that peak. And in her pattern, she has options for no brim, one folded up brim, or a double brim, which is what I did. So I knit inches and inches and inches of ribbing for it to be long enough to then knit the decreases. And this pattern calls for one fingering weight yarn held double with a mohair or a DK weight yarn. So I used a sock yarn from Brine Dyeworks, and it was one of her, she calls them pickles, where she just uses up leftover bits of dye and kind of plays with them in her pickle jars. And so she'll make like one-off skeins from that. So that was this colorway. I don't know if you can pick it up or see it on the screen there, but it's this very light kind of violet-y gray, and then there's tiny little flecks of pink in there, like a corally pink. So from far away, it just looks kind of gray, but it has some nice, pretty nuances in there. So I held it double with a mohair, Lana Gatto, I think it's called Venus. So it's not your typical silk mohair. I can't remember exactly the percentages, but there is 10% wool and then maybe 10-15% silk, and then the rest is mohair. So it's a little bit fuzzier than a typical mohair. I don't know if you can see the halo there. This thing is super fuzzy, but it's really fun. I really like it. So I'll model this for you as well. It's so cute and warm. I really like the double folded brim. I've never done that on a hat before. And in our climate, I mean, where we are in Canada, it's not as cold as other parts of Canada, but it still gets pretty cold. We're on the water, so there's ocean winds that hit us, and so it is nice to just have a little bit of extra warmth. So yeah, I've been getting a lot of use out of this. I like the cute little kind of peak going on there. The only mod that I did was I didn't quite knit it to length. So even with the double folded brim in the pattern, it's recommended to knit it to a certain length and then begin the crown decreases. But I felt like it would just be too high up off my head, which I don't love that look. So I put all the details in my Ravelry project page, but I think that I knit just to, was it 11 inches? Yeah, I think I did 11 inches and then began the crown decreases. So that's that. And this pattern is going to be released this Saturday. So hopefully, I'm filming this video on Wednesday. Hopefully I'll be able to do all the editing and have this up on YouTube before the pattern release on Saturday. So that's it for finished objects that I have to show. At the same time that I was working on that test knit, the urban beanie, I was also making another hat or toque for a friend of another pattern by Tori. It's the Manhattan hat. I also really like the shape of that one. It looks almost just like the shape of a commercial hat, almost like you know, Carhartts or whatever, where they have that kind of raised up angled shape. Yeah, it's an awesome pattern too. But I have since gifted that away. So yeah, I was making 2 ribbed hats at the same time and kind of challenging myself to get them done as quick as possible. So on my Instagram stories, I was posting my progress each day on how I worked through those. So that was a black cashmere. I used the Eco, I can't remember if it's Eco Nordic. I'll put the name down in the description box below. But it was my first time using this yarn. It's 100% cashmere. It's very economically friendly, as you can gather from the name, but so soft. It was so nice to work with. Going between the fuzziness from my urban beanie and then to the softness of the Manhattan hat, it was just so nice, felt so nice. So yeah, my friend has that hat now. And then I made his wife a little Sophie scarf with some leftover cashmere from that. So they can match in their black cashmere. So that's it for finished objects. We can move on to whips. Let's start with the I Can Buy Myself Flowers Cal. So Casey from Young Folk Knits and myself have been hosting this knit-along since the beginning of November, and it runs to the end of this month, to the end of January. And it has been so fun to see everyone work on their projects. A few of the bigger projects, we're starting to see finished objects pop up of people's shawls and cardigans and pullovers, and it's been really cool to see everyone modeling and wearing their finished objects. There's been some beautiful color choices, and just seeing people yeah, pick the finishing details like the buttons for their cardigans have been really fun. So I will show you mine. It's been in a project bag, so I'll see how much of a tangled mess it is. Da-da-da. There she is. So I just have the cuff left on this and then one more sleeve to go. And I talked about this in the other episodes, but I am using, oh man, I can't even remember what yarn I'm using. I'll put it in the description box below. But this is Cormo, and then this is, what is it called? Rainbow Beach. Yeah, I'll have it down in the description box below. So far this has been 2 skeins of the main color, that Cormo, and I used 1 skein of the color changing yarn for the body, and then I moved on to my second skein of the color changing yarn and just did like 1 repeat at the shoulders there, and then the arm has been this new ball. So you can see the colors are a little different. My first ball was more kind of like pinks, more like pinky reds. And then the second ball has been a little bit cooler colors. So it's got some purples and greens in there. But all in all together, I feel like they work really well together. So I'll put it on to show you how it fits. So close to being done and I love it. I can't wait to wear this. I think this is going to be really fun with any outfit really. Like it would look good with pants. I really want to wear it with like a gingham skirt or dress. I feel like I could really lean into those like farm girl vibes. I really like it. So yeah, I've got the button band knit on. And I actually blocked this to see how my arm length was before doing the cuffs, because it grows a lot. So before blocking, the sleeve was probably up to here or so. And so yeah, I wanted to see like, is this long enough? And I haven't quite decided if I'm going to rip out one of the flower repeats and then do the cuff, or leave it long like this. It is going to be, you do decreases for the cuff. So it's a tiny, like slight balloon sleeve. So it could be a tight cuff at my wrist and then a little bit like extra fabric there that kind of gathers or bunches up a bit. I don't mind that look. So yeah, still deciding on that if I'll shorten it or not. And when I knit the button band, I like to mark where my buttons are going to go, so that when I'm lining it up afterwards to sew on the buttons, I'm not really guessing. So I just, as I'm knitting that row with the buttonholes, then I keep track when I get to the other side of the button band, and I'll just put a little stitch marker in there. So that's where I'll sew on the buttons. And as far as the pattern I'll give you my opinion. I'm gonna be honest. Okay, so the finished shape is beautiful. I don't think I have a better fitting cardigan. There are short rows. Well, I'll start from the beginning. You knit from the bottom up, and then you start doing decreases to create this V-neck here. And there are some short rows in the shoulders. And then, so you do, you know, like one side, the back, another side, and then you will seam together the top of the shoulders here. The shaping is so well fitting. I really, really like it. Yeah, just like this gentle kind of V-neck, I find is really flattering on everyone. Like looking at other people's pictures on Instagram or Ravelry, it's very flattering. And the short row shaping on the shoulders just sit really nicely. I find I have another cardigan that I've knit that likes to fall off my shoulders, but this is not going to have that problem. It just sits right up here really nicely, and I can move, I can dance, it's not gonna fall off. So yeah, I really like the shaping. As far as the pattern writing style goes, I don't know if I'm just on a different kind of brain wavelength or something, but I found it a little confusing. I made so many mistakes with this pattern, and then I would go back and read the pattern instructions and realize that I'd misread them, or I missed a word, or I missed a phrase, and I was trying to figure out, like, why is this so confusing to me? Why like, am I not understanding this? And I think it might just be me and my silly brain. But I think that the pattern layout, it all is kind of using the same font and no bold words or no underlining. And so it doesn't really like pop out when, you know, it's saying to do something different. So yeah, I found that a little confusing when I would be following the directions or thinking I was following the directions when I was actually, you know, misunderstanding. So for example, when I started knitting one of the front panels, I knit the wrong side. And so I was following the decrease instructions for the other side. And it was really not making sense, and I was getting more and more confused, and then I realized, oh, it should have been, you know, for this side. So I kind of fudged my way through and made some adjustments, and it works fine for me. But if I had just caught that when I was reading the pattern originally, I would have been able to follow the correct instructions. So yeah, I found it was one of those patterns where you have to pay a little bit more attention and just slow down and really read the phrasing. Sometimes, yeah, I would have to really stop and think, okay, what does it mean by this phrasing? And I don't know, maybe it's just my brain and I was just, you know, thinking differently than the pattern designer. And that's fine too. But yeah, I have nothing bad to say about the actual pattern and the way that it fits and how it's going to be in the end. I love it. But I wouldn't recommend this pattern for beginners. I found it a little tricky. Yeah, I think that's all for my pressed flowers cardigan. I'm hoping to be able to finish it by the end of the by the end of the month. Yeah, it's just one sleeve. Hopefully I'll get to it. And I've been playing around with button options. I didn't really want to buy new buttons because I do have some buttons in my sewing stash. So I kind of narrowed it down to these two. So this one is like one of those plastic buttons that's just like mirrored reflective. And then this one is a metal. I don't know if it's gonna focus. There they are. So they're a little flowery looking, like they've got wavy edges, and they're metal. Hold them up here so you can see. What do you think looks better? It's a little hard to show. Yeah, I'm a little undecided. I'll keep knitting the sleeve and then decide. But yeah, I didn't really want to buy new buttons if I didn't have to. So these are the contenders. All right. Next up is another test knit that I signed up for. I was thinking that I would do less test knits in 2024, but I caved. Yeah, this one, I had noticed the designer was working on this cardigan for a while, and it caught my eye, and then she had the test knit call, and it was a nice healthy length of time, which I really like, so I felt like, okay, I can handle incorporating that into my schedule. So this is a test knit for, let me see here, 100 Acre Woods, which is Isabella. I can't remember her last name, but it'll be down in the description box. So yeah, 100 Acre Woods, and she works a lot with Nutiden yarns. So if you like knitting with Nutiden, check out her patterns. They're all very dainty and feminine and pretty. Yeah, I really like them. So this cardigan is cables, and it has the option for scalloped edges along the button band, done with crochet, which I don't really know how to crochet, so I'm gonna see if I do the scalloped button band or if I just do a normal knit button band. But this is my swatch. Those are the cables, so they're pretty easy. I'm not a huge cable knitter. I like color work and more kind of like plain stockinette knits. I love the look of cables, but actually knitting them myself, I feel like, you know, it just takes a little bit more concentration. You have to be counting rows and paying attention to where you are. But this one just was so pretty. I'll put a picture of the finished cardigan up here so that you can see it. It's called the Primaveral cardigan. And I just liked, yeah, that all over kind of texture from the cables and just the kind of like feminine touches on it. So I gauge swatched in this Nutiden. It's 2 strands held double, and this was leftover from a different sweater that I'd made for my husband last year. So I know they say that you're not supposed to gauge swatch with a different color because sometimes the dye colors actually affect the yarn weight. I didn't want to waste my precious Nutiden in the colorway that I was going to be using in the cardigan. So I only had 300 grams. I'll show it to you here. Here it is. So it's the colorway Favor, and I only had 300 grams. And it's just a really pretty gray. It's kind of got a little bit of like a bluey tone to it. It's just a nice kind of medium gray. And yeah, when I read the specs on the pattern, I realized 300 grams would be cutting it pretty close for my size. I'm knitting the size 3. So I put out a call on my stories on Instagram, and one of my lovely followers reached out and said that she had some extra Nutiden in this exact color and she wasn't going to use it. And so she was able to sell it to me, and it's been shipped, and yeah, I'm very glad that I can actually finish this project. So I'll show you where I'm at. Oops, let's see here. So this is a bottom up cardigan. Let's see here. So I've got that much. That's where I'm at. And when it's blocked, yeah, it'll kind of like open up a little bit to show the cables. So Isabel's sample is a bit longer in the body, and I like cropped sweaters just the way that they fit me, and I often wear them with skirts and dresses, and so I think that it's I just like that look of it being a little bit shorter. So I think that I will make the body a couple inches shorter and then follow the pattern as directed. And then, yeah, when I get to that button band, I'll see if I'm brave enough to play around with crochet. I think it's so pretty with that scalloped edge, but I don't know if I'll be able to do it or not. But that's my Primavera cardigan, and yeah, I'll be working on that for the next month and a half or so. So I had said before that I started a new craft, and I'll share a little bit with you here. I am a baby beginner at this. I know nothing, so don't like take everything that I say with a grain of salt. I could be doing this completely wrong, but I started spinning. I'm so excited. I've been interested in spinning for a while. I've seen some people that I follow on Instagram that are very into spinning. Andrea Mowry started the 100 Days of Spinning Challenge, and so I was seeing it everywhere, and that was just kind of the motivation that I needed to actually start. I've been curious about it for a while, and then I just figured, okay, I'm gonna start now. So I went to a spinning class, which is really funny because I was telling some friends, oh, I'm going to a spinning class, and they were thinking like bicycle spinning, exercise spinning. Nope, yarn making spinning. So I went to a class and I played around with some spinning wheels and kind of got like a general idea of what's going on. And then after that, I started playing around with the drop spindle. So a friend of mine actually gifted me, this is her mom's old drop spindle and some of her mom's fibers. So I have a lot of fibers to play around with. This is the only one that wasn't labeled, but I'm guessing it was Rambouillet because there was another ball in her stash there that felt very similar to this, and that one was labeled as Rambouillet. So I'm thinking that's what it is. And this is my very first attempt. So it's not perfect. There's a bit of thick and thin going on there, and this is just like the one ply. So when I work my way through this, I'm going to ply this with itself, so it's going to be 2 ply. So I'm guessing in the end the weight is going to be like probably worsted weight, and I have no idea what I'll do with it, but it's fun. I might just hang up my pretty little skein of handmade yarn and admire it for a while. But yeah, it has been really, really nice to just learn something new. The drop spindle has been so relaxing, even to work on it for a few minutes. I find it really kind of just like calming, meditative, very relaxing, and you're making yarn. Ooh, it's so cool. So yeah, my hopes are to eventually get some more practice on spinning wheel and try out an e-spinner and kind of see what I like best, and then I might purchase one for myself. But thankfully my local yarn store, they have a few spinning wheels and e-spinners, and they're open to me just playing with them at the store there, so I'm very excited. I have a spinning date next week that I'm going to go and practice away on them. But yeah, it's been really fun. If you have any suggestions for a beginner spinner, please let me know. I've watched a few YouTube videos and they've been extremely helpful, but I feel like just with time and practice I'm kind of getting like a better feel for it. But I have no idea if I'm spinning it too tightly when it comes to plying, like how tight should I be spinning that too. So yeah, I feel like it's just been trial and error, but it's been really, really enjoyable, and yeah, I'm having fun with it. All right, so that's all that I have to show today. Thanks so much for sticking around, and I hope that you're all having a great day and you're able to get up to something enjoyable, something you like to do. If it's knitting, if it's spinning, if it's crochet, if it's sewing, if it's quilting, whatever. Enjoy it. Okay, have a good day.